The time has come for us to talk a little about another very popular genre during the 1900s, and that is ragtime. When I think early modern America, I think ragtime. Ragtime music, particularly music by Scott Joplin, has not only survived to this day but still thrives. You can argue even more so in the modern day than during the mid to late 20th century now that ragtime music, written and or produced before the 1920s, is considered public domain. You can find ragtime in the background of all sorts of things, from professionally produced entertainment.
All I had to do was walk a few blocks from the Port Authority bus terminal to my train at Penn Station.
To homebrewed videos. Particularly this one. And this one. Missouri has the honor of once being the ragtime capital of America, with many roving artists settling here for their music careers, even the king of rag himself, our boy Scott. Ragtime itself is one of the earliest and few musical genres that is distinctly all-American. According to the Library of Congress, ragtime, a uniquely American syncopated musical phenomenon, has been a strong presence in musical composition, entertainment, and scholarship for over a century. It emerged in its published form during the mid-1890s and quickly spread across the continent via published compositions. By the early 1900s, ragtime flooded the music publishing industry. The popularity and demand for ragtime also boosted the sales of pianos and greatly swelled the ranks of the recording industry. Much like anything new and popular, it was seen as a threat to polite American society and youth. This was because of its popularity in saloons, brothels, and cabarets, and the Midwest was rife with saloons and brothels, particularly Missouri, which has some major transport rivers and railroads, and lots of steamboaters and railroad workers would come into town looking for a drink, good music, and some company. Ragtime, much like jazz, as we will see later, was associated with African Americans, which also made it less favorable by white, particularly upper-class people. However, whenever your stuffy old aunt clutches her pearls about something, it just makes it all the more enticing. And so ragtime would gain particular popularity among American youths. It was essentially the rap or hip-hop of its day. Missouri was also considered the ragtime heartland because of its cities and their changing social views, culture, and commercial opportunities they offered to people of color and immigrants, particularly in St. Louis right off the Mississippi River. St. Louis was not only a popular destination for immigrants, but for African Americans as well, being seen as a sort of safe haven in a state filled with rural white conservatives. Nothing much has changed there. During the 1880s, many African Americans were still moving away from rural areas and former slave states. They found little welcome there, and the jobs were very much lacking pretty much anywhere in the South, with few exceptions. St. Louis, however, was different. St. Louis is on a major waterway that was close enough to the South to be convenient, yet very progressive and racially diverse, and so many black entrepreneurs found a place that welcomed them and their businesses. Black businesses flourished in the sporting district of Chestnut Valley, which unfortunately no longer exists, as it was demolished in urban renewal projects. However, the Scott Joplin House State Historic Site, a small museum dedicated to the artist, was erected in the 1970s, a decade or so after Chestnut Valley was demolished. Ragtime is not just historically important due to its impact on greater American culture in the early 1900s, but also due to its significance in Missouri's African American history. Ragtime was one of the first aspects of African American culture that broke out into a nationwide phenomenon and introduced black artists to a white audience, which, despite a little pushback, was greatly welcomed. The spread of ragtime and black art in general helped to slowly break down long-standing harsh racial divides, or at least get a kick started. It will be a long fight, one we're still fighting to this day, But the fight for racial equality really started to take off here in the 1900s with art, literature, and a hope for a better future.